All right, hey guys, welcome back. Kit here, Burn One Shot vs. Evolve channel. As always, we're on to the neutral set review for Paragons of the Colosseum, or you said in JP it was called Ultimate Colosseum?
No, in digital it's
Oh,
called.
digital. Okay, yeah. But if you don't recognize the voice, we have here good buddy Presha. Want to say hi?
Howdy.
He's been in a lot of our set reviews and the last ones as well. So, you guys all know him. So we'll just hurry up, jump into this rating key. If you don't know how we rate, here is the key. Pause the screen, read them, then continue forward. First card here, Mammoth Gods Colosseum. Fanfare. Each player select a follower on the field, then put each other follower on their field into their cemetery. Last word, search your deck for a Colosseum on high and put it onto your field. This is a 7-drop, 7/8. This is a good meme card.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. Like it's like a brawl, that you could choose from, like Hearthstone kind of.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to be board states where this thing is like insane. I also think it's like pretty well statted. It's the classic, like, it's a neutral card, but it's actually just a dragon card. Like it's not actually
Yeah.
like it's not actually a neutral card. And we'll get to the Colosseum, but it honestly, like, doesn't matter with this card. This is just sort of like a early game board clear, and I think it's like pretty strong against decks like the Fairy Forest, decks that go wide, even like Sword, because it's like they have to choose. Yeah, they're gonna choose the high stated thing, but
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to clear for the early game, or like the early before you get to your Bahamut's and your Israfils. And I like that it's well statted. But I don't know. Would you play this over Fafnir? Like, no. Like probably never. And you have Conflag. So I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I think you can, like, if you have another follower, you can like choose it to die so you can like get the Colosseum. But we'll get to the Colosseum later. But the Colosseum fucking sucks, so it's like not. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Like kind of pressure, exactly what Pressure said. This is a reskinned dragon card. Like when you look at this
Yeah.
card, you're playing it in ramp dragon specifically. Probably it's just like if you double ramp and get this out on 5, you probably feel pretty good because it does interact with the board. Your opponent might have gone like 3 to 4 followers by that turn that you just you're like, whatever, here's my elephant, deal with it. You do end up leaving them with 1 follower though, which is kind of awkward depending what's on their board, I guess. But it's kind of like a mini nuke in a sense. But it definitely it's a dragon card.
I can maybe, like, okay, what about in like Abyss? Like after you do the Ginsetsu and then you like go Death Breath this back or play this, and then you keep the Ginsetsu and then you get the Colosseum, and then Ginsetsu swings for, what would that be, 5 or 6?
Is that
And
right?
then 5 or 6, and then you have like the Colosseum, and maybe with the Colosseum you like flip over a Yuzuki or something. Like maybe, because that was such a thing in digital where it's like you play the Gensetsu and then you kill all the foxes so that it like you
Mm-hmm.
get the buffs. That's what she did. So
Yeah.
I just think it's sort of like that, but I don't know. I think it's too cute. I think
That
it's
is way too cute. That's I'm gonna high roll out locals type of fun.
well, hey, that's the game. So hey, you only
Yeah.
need to go 3 and 2.
True. All right.
All right, Bad B Kappa. That's how I've always called her. I don't know how to pronounce it. Bad Calf. I don't know. Anyway, 3-mana 2/3, evolve for 2. Fanfare. Choose one of the following. Select another follower on your field and give it +1/+1. 2. Give your leader 2 health. And 3. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put any number of them onto the top or bottom of your deck in any order. And then the evolve, you have to evolve for 2, but it gains 2/2, so it goes to 4/5. And then you choose one of the following: engage each enemy follower on the field, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader, or put the top card of your deck in your EX area. This card, I think, is extremely overrated. I think this card is really shocking how sort of often I see it played, even in JP lists, and uh, the only reason you play this is if your class is missing good Evo targets and Evo cards. And I think that every one of these effects is like marginally good, which makes it like not good because it's a 3 mana or 5 mana investment. And it's like, okay, it's pretty well statted because it becomes a 4/5, but all the effects are just not too impactful, slash, need other, things to happen. So, like, the first effect on the fanfare, you have to have another fallen field, which could happen, but then the heal 2 is like eh. And then the scry 3, I think scry is just really weak in this game. I've said this, for a really long time. And then the Evo, it's like, so you're getting one of those effects. Let's just say, like, the easiest one to do is just the heal. You just heal 2. On the Evo, the engage all enemy follower is actually really interesting. I think that's the most unique, one of the better parts of this card is that you can go, okay, they're trying to play around you, like, swing into stuff, you engage everything, and you can use your guys to swing in. And then the deal 2 damage to enemy leader, that's pretty good. And then you flip over card into your EX area. I just think that this is just too slow of a card for this meta. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm on the opposite spectrum of you, Prescia. I like this card a lot because I'm always a sucker for module cards that can just kind of warp into what I need when I need it. Do I think this card is like an S tier card? Absolutely not. But I think this card is powerful enough that if you have like the space in your Evo deck and you're looking for something either for consistency, extra heal, random extra buff, or something like this, I think this card fits very nicely. This also, what I like about this card is on Evo, it's a 4/5, which means it can trade into other 4/4s and still live, and your opponent has to answer it for some reason, and you got extra value off this card in that sense. The big selling, I think if this card was like a 4/4, I think this card would be worse than it is, but I think the fact that it is a 4/5 makes it a little bit better than you might actually immediately think, just because of that extra 1 health, in my opinion. But I think this is a card like you have room, you have Evo room space, and you like all the module effects on here. And I think then you might consider playing this card. And I do agree with Prescia. The biggest unique thing about this card is the engage each enemy follower on the field. That is something that not many classes have access to. It's mostly only what Sword has, like Swordsman. And then I think there might be like a couple other that force people to engage their follower and so forth.
The hair,
yeah.
amulet.
So like this is like pseudo a sell for all your dues, essentially.
Yeah,
which is the interesting part about this card. And then the other module effects are all relatively okay. Healing 2 feels okay. Dealing to the enemy leader for like a little extra push is okay. The scry is not the best, but the fact that you get the assumption is if you pick the scry, your Evo side is going to draw the exact card you want for the hopefully in that case, or add like a slight bit of extra consistency. I like this card enough that I'm like willing to rate it at least a B. I think me saying it's a B is actually pushing it a bit, but I don't know how down you are on this card, Prescia.
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, because all of what you're saying, like, I agree, but what is the deck you're playing this in? Like what deck do you think this card goes in?
I'm
Like
like,
that right now, or that we're going into?
so this
Like,
is like
I just can't think of a deck.
this is like a card I totally would not mind in like Abyss, especially like almost like a Sanguine Abyss type of thing where we already have this onboard strategy. We are hurting ourselves a lot. So the +2, healing 2 and dealing 2 feels pretty good. Also, like digging for like an immediate answer doesn't feel bad, or like an immediate storm or whatever put into your EX area is totally fine with me. I think in some dragon lists, this is probably okay as well, depending on like your build. But like I said, I also don't think this is like goes into every type of deck archetype or anything like that. Like this in Haven feels okay as well. It's just like it's definitely not your first thought when building a deck, but I think it's good enough that like it should be considered occasionally, depending on your game plan and stuff. In the specific meta, I don't know if it's going to be that impactful generally, but I like I said, I'm a sucker for module cards that have different effects that I all like, and I kind of like everything printed on this card.
Yeah, and so for the base example, you're thinking more like a mid-range Sanguine
Oh,
Abyss, 'cause,
absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
because like I feel like the heal Yeah, okay. Okay, here's my take on this card. I think every time I see it in a deck, and this is even the future because it's played a lot in the future as well. It's the card that stands out to me because I feel like you could put any other card in its slot and the deck would be at equal power. I think it's the wow, I don't know what last three cards to put in my deck. I'm just going to put Bad B Kappa because I'm realistically going to be at 5 mana at some point in the game. And it's just a fine role player, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I it just feels like it's never going it doesn't strengthen any deck, like maybe Elena, I guess, is another, Elena thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just, wow, I need 3 more cards. I have some Evo space, let's throw it in there. Which I just don't think I can really say is a good card because like one card I think that's similar to that description is like Bellringer Angel. Like Bellringer Angel comes down earlier, draws you a card, prevents early game damage, and is removal all in one. This is all like, well, if you have a follower on the field, it's cool. Or if you need 2 health, or if your top 3 is cool, cool deck or whatever, or if you need 2 damage on the enemy leader, but it's for 5 mana, and it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think it's gonna be played a lot. I don't think it's a bad card. It's just like they're like I'm almost positive every deck that plays this card has other options that are probably better, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that at the very end. It just, I think maybe if I play this a little, like I said, I'm kind of rating this a little bit higher because, like I said, I'm a sucker for module
Yeah,
effects, and
yeah, yeah.
I every line of text on here I basically like, except for the pay to the Evo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I might be rating this a little bit too highly, and maybe after playtesting a lot more, maybe this drops down to a C or maybe even a D. But I do like this card in general, so
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a C.
sounds good. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Mithra Daybreak Deity, a 6-drop 5/5 evolves for 1 fanfare. Each player rolls a 6. I'm already done. Each player rolls a 6-sided die. If the result is between 1 and 3, that player draws 2 cards. If it's between 4 and 6, that player randomly discards 2 cards. On evolve, choose a number between 1 and 6, then roll a 6-sided die. If you rolled the chosen number, give your leader +5 health. Search your deck for a card and put it into your EX area and recover X play points, where X is your maximum play points. This is such a Hail Mary card. I'm gonna lose to this card. I can already see it. Oh my god. What? I will lose to this card. I know for a fact I am. Someone's gonna I don't want to look at for my okay.
So bad. It's
For
so
me,
bad.
for
It's
any
so
player
bad.
out there, this is an F. But for all my opponents, this is an S tier card. Because they will hit everything. I will discard 2. They will draw 2. They will evolve and they will hit the number they picked. They will heal 5 and they'll get the exact card they want. They will recover the play points and then they'll like push up Aegis or something. And I'll be like, cool, I've lost the game because I'm bad at rolling dice.
What, like, this is just the worst card of the game. It's just unplayable. It's unplayable. It's
Listen,
unplayable.
I will play this card though in Glory Finder, even though because making people roll dice and lose the game that way sounds hilarious. But
You're not going to be able to find 3 other people to play Glorified.
listen, they don't know that yet. All right.
I tried to post that GIF, but it did not work. I don't know if you saw that.
Which one? Hold on, let me see.
The Angry Birds. It's fine.
I think I did saw that.
I tried to put it, but it didn't work. It didn't work.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. This is so
All right. Moving on. You can get a good card here.
Yeah, okay. I will get a good card. Fall from Grace, 3 mana, quick. Select a follower on the field and banish it. Give its leader +2 health. Its controller draws a card. This is a pretty good card. There was a lot of these type of cards in Digital where it was like banish something, and you could, sort of you got some benefit because you're removing something, or like you got benefit because you chose your own thing. I think the original version of this was like you summon a Dark Angel token, Uh, but I think this is a really interesting card that's like good that exists in the game, but I don't think has application in this set yet. I think that uh, this meta, like we talked about with the Saintly Leader in Haven, there's just not a lot of things that are like, holy crap, I gotta banish this thing, you know?
Mhm.
Also, giving your opponent a card draw is pretty rough. And then like the only playable thing, or the only playable, or the only class is really playable in is like Haven, but you have the
Uh,
the dark offering,
dark,
you
yeah, dark
know,
ritual.
for
No, is it called dark
yourself.
ritual?
I think it's dark offering.
Oh,
I
dark
think so.
offering. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, dark offering.
Um, and then you have the acolyte's light for your opponent, right? So I don't know, like maybe it's like, wow, I really need like more acolyte's light, which acolyte's light's pretty good, but the reason it's good is because it heals you too, you know. So I think it's good, and I think it's just a tech card that will literally always be relevant. I just don't think it's going to be good right now.
Yeah, you I think you hit everything on the nail. I think this card is probably going to see little to no play in this meta, just because of how it works. But this is a really good, cool control tool that also can like heal you and draw your card. Essentially, in some cases, like your opponent is going, you're going to like Themis next turn or something, and or you have an answer or whatever. You just need to heal. You get to pop one of your own guys, heal two, draw a card to replace the card that you did lose, and then go from there. So I like that it's kind of modular in that sense, because Dark Offering only targets your followers, obviously, and then but this can also be used as removal if need be, and if the banish is very very important. But yeah, I think Pressure hit everything else like on the head for sure. Like it's not, I don't anticipate to see many copies of this floating around at all right now.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna give it a C.
Yeah, I'm cool with giving it a C also. All right. I get the Colosseum on high. 6-drop amulet. While this card is on your field, each follower on your field cannot attack enemy leaders if they can attack enemy followers. Fanfare. Each player looks at the top 3 cards of their deck. They may put a follower among them onto the field. The remaining cards are put into their cemetery and then trade arena or whatever. This is a really funny card.
I just realized that this puts the rest of the cards in the cemetery. So I don't know, maybe Shadow or Abyss.
Abyss might want to.
Yeah, maybe. Huh? That's actually my stupid crazy Gensetsu thing. Maybe you fuel the grave as well. I don't know. This card kind of sucks.
we Pressure trying to cook really hard here. I still think this
Yeah.
card's an F.
Yeah. I will say, like, if this card is ever relevant, it is right now, because Kuan, like, yeah, if they flip over Kuan, just shake his hand. Like, he's the better player.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're gonna look at 3, spell cards, and you're gonna get Fafnir, you're gonna get Bahamut or Israfil. They're gonna get, some stupid guy, and then or nothing.
Yeah.
And like this, the other part of the effect like doesn't matter at all. I think it's just worse Phoenix Roost, right? This is just worse Phoenix Roost. So,
Yeah.
but you can play it in other classes, and I like that it mills 3 basically.
It's funny that the mill 3 part is like one of the best parts of the card.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, moving on here.
All right, chat. I think that's how you say her name. Ringside announcer. 3 mana, 3/3. If Colosseum is on high, you're up. Yeah, if Colosseum is high, and this card costs you less. But if that ever comes up, you need to take a screenshot of that and send it to us, please.
Yes, please do.
Evolve for 1. On evolve, search your deck for an arena card, reveal it, and add it to your hand. I actually really like this card because the arena cards, of course, some of these neutral cards, like the Colosseum, like the Mammoth. Oh, the Mammoth God is not an arena card. What?
No, he carries the arena. That's why he can't be the arena.
What? Okay, well, I was wrong about that one. But all the other classes, like main legends, so Haven, the Wilbert, Abyss, the Gensetsu, which is the big one. I think that's like the best one to tutor.
Yeah.
Garyu is pretty good. The other like really niche one that might see some play is like just tutoring Kuan, because you have like typically you have like one extra space in Kuon. Um, and then, I mean, Kagemitsu sucks, but you can search him. And then Ligma, I don't know. I'd rather search the
Ligma.
fucking. I'd rather search the arena, to be honest. So you have a couple options there. It's fully statted. It's gonna still die to Surefire, but you're like guaranteed to get your guy.
Mm.
And I don't know. It depends on how good that is. Like, I think if we were in a meta where it was a little bit slower, like not like all control, but just if it was like, hey, when I hit Gensetsu, that's like my super power turn. I think you could see this played in Abyss. I think again, I think it's pretty cool, interesting tech in Kuon, but outside of that, I think this card will not be played in the other classes just because it's like Wilbert's not impactful enough for you to like need this sort of slow tutor. And all the other classes have like bad arena cards or like Garyu, which it's like you don't really need to tutor him.
Yeah. I think one
What do
thing
you
to
think?
note too is that uh, on curve, especially going second and stuff, usually those are the turns like 2, 3, and 4-ish are turns where you need to interact with the board and have like value plays usually,
Yeah,
I feel like. Whereas like this will give you value in the sense of you get a card, but it's not necessarily gonna like clear multiple things on the board. So if you're dealing with things where like there's like 2, 3, 3 pixies out, you're only really going to be able to clear one of them, which might be annoying or like not that great for you, which means you're going to have to delay playing this card because maybe you are afraid of both pixies or whatever. That's just one thing to keep in mind. But I like everything though that Pressure is saying.
yeah. I think it's a pretty cool card. I think you'll see it a little bit. I think it's definitely worth considering a lot of the time, depending on the deck. So yeah, I think what, C or B, I guess.
Ooh, B. That's a lot higher. I thought you were going to give this like a C. Personally, I think because it's so pigeonholed into finding specifically these arena cards, I haven't really looked at traits in the future. To me, this is like a D. Like, it's really good if you have a game plan for this card, but if outside of that, it's not going to like easily slot into anything else, right? Maybe that's being like too negative about the card, I guess, but
Well,
that's what I feel like.
yeah, I guess like it's one of those things where it's like if we're rating this just like in a vacuum, just like how good this card is, it's like probably a D because it's never going to be good outside this meta. But like I think this meta, you could see it pop up a little bit, and I think it's worth considering if you're playing Abyss and it
Yeah,
has like a tech card in Kuan, which Abyss is already like I would say has potential, and Kuan is obviously one of the decks to beat.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, maybe B's too high. I'll give it a C, but it's on the higher side of C, I think.
yeah. Okay. Next card here. One drop spell, Clash of Heroes. Select a follower on your field and an enemy follower on the field. Deal X damage to the first follower and Y damage to the second follower, where X equals the attack of the second follower and Y equals the attack of the first follower. This card basically has your two followers fight each other without actually fighting each other. Interesting card. I think I played this in digital, actually. Is this the same card in digital, or did I play
Yeah, I
something
think it
else?
was a little bit different. Let me see. I think it was a little bit different. I remember it like coming up a little bit, but it was not like an amazing card. I think it was just the exact same card. Did you play it in like Leod or something maybe?
Dude, I don't
Leod
remember.
is like the deck I'm thinking about it being played in, but I don't know.
But
I think the card sucks.
yeah, anyway, the card is pretty mediocre because, like, you have to have a follower on board, which means this actually isn't a one cost removal spell. Your followers could also trade, which doesn't feel good, also. So you're trading two cards for one card. It just does not feel very great value there at all. I'm not sure what are some scenarios this could be really amazing in. Like maybe if you play it with that samurai that doesn't take. Oh no, because it'll still take damage from this. Never mind, because you're not actually in combat. Yeah, I don't see a world where this card is like, oh my god, this was some sick tech.
Yeah, that's how you kill the samurai. Is you go, what's the magic card? One of the only magic cards I know. The big like creature from Innistrad that takes over your turn. It starts with E.
Oh, Emrakul.
Emrakul. You Emrakul. You like trade them Clash of Heroes, and then you Clash of Heroes into the. That's the only way you can kill the samurai, the steadfast samurai.
Oh man,
no. This card is unplayable.
It's pretty bad. All right, moving on here.
All right, Biofabrication. 1 mana, select a face-up evolve follower in your Evo deck, and flip it face down, draw a card. Really interesting card. It's a really interesting card because it's like insight that also has some like weird niche applications, but just I mean, it just gets in the cute territory, and like the fairies are not cute, man. They're gonna kill you, and I don't know. I don't think it's good, but it's interesting.
Yeah, this is a very interesting card. I think one of the sad parts about this card is that I wish it had the quick text. I think if this card had quick, it would be really sick. But outside of that, it's just like you're paying one more play point to make sure that you have the extra Evo on like your third card that you decide not to play two. You only play like 2 of the Evo and you draw the third copy of it, right? But you also have to draw this card, which is not searchable. You just got to naturally draw into it. Play this card, you have to already have a card Evo'd, but honestly, with how the game is, you generally have 1 or 2 Evos early game. Within the first, like, I feel like 5 turns, you'll have at least 1 Evo at some point. So you generally will have a target, but it's just like you jump through some extra hoops to get an extra Evo. Is it worth it? Probably not. But I mean, I could see in the future, maybe this becomes a pretty good card later if it had some kind of like reasoning behind it, like, oh, we need to make sure to flip over these cards for X reasons or whatever. But
yeah,
it's generally a cute card. I wouldn't be surprised if like at some point it gets played, not in this meta, but in some maybe in the future. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if it never shows up again.
Yeah, I wish this cost 0.
Dude, that would be sick. And
because you have to target it, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You can't play this card unless you're able to target an evolved face-up follower in your evolved deck. Otherwise, you can't play this card as a draw one.
Yeah, because I feel like we're getting like a lot of decks I've been building this set. I've noticed it's like, wow, I'm not evoing until like turn 4 or 5. You know, like
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where it's not like we're evoing as early as possible. And then even if we are, it's like, okay, sure, we just get an extra draw because we're choosing to evolve early. You know, because we're choosing to build our evolved deck in a way that it's probably cutting down on the powerful evolves and going up on the early game evolves. So I think if this was just 0, you had to select it, which, you know, you have to, and you draw a card, I think that'd be fine. I don't even think that'd be like, I mean, that'd be good. It's basically just 37 cards, but not like good enough where it's like game breaking or anything, you know? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of want to rate this D, but I also feel like it's just straight up F, honestly.
I think it's F. I don't think it's
F. All right, next card. This is a 3-drop, 3/4 Sweet Tooth Sleuth. Fanfare, select an opponent. They reveal their hand. Cool. All right, can we move on? Okay, wait. Before you say anything.
Yes.
Listen, I think at a certain level when you're playing this game, you generally know what answers your opponent should have in their hand or relatively like what options they do have. Seeing their hand, especially like playing this on curve, doesn't feel amazing. Like if you rate this a D, I'm like, okay. But if you rate it any higher than a D pressure, I'm gonna come out there and strangle you.
I mean, I just want to like at least. It's so bad. It's really bad. Yeah, no, it's really bad. Like I'm trying to think of any scenario where this thing would ever be good. I was gonna meme and I mean, it's better than Shingo Windy. It's 100% better than Shingo Windy. It's way better than Shingo Windy. It's at least fully statted.
Yeah, I think one of the worst parts about like these type of effects is that when you get to a certain level of play, you should generally either have been keeping track of like your opponent's tools they've used, and like you already kind of have a good idea of either what's in their hand or what answers they have. So like seeing their hand to make sure doesn't really matter. A lot of like I feel like a lot of the quote unquote like kill turns in this game too, outside of Haven, I guess it like most people don't really can answer like fortes or like huge storms or combos going off like in Kuon or whatever. Like I play this card, I'm like, cool, my opponent has D shift, like okay, whatever. Or I play this card. Because I feel like a lot of times in other card games, when you play for the information in your opponent's hand, it's because you want to make sure that this big thing you're trying to protect some like big win condition, and I don't think that comes up often enough in this game to matter.
Yeah, I think it's less like when you're playing at a high level, you should know what's in their hand, and more that
Mhm.
information literally means nothing in this game.
Yeah,
Because if you know they have the fairy dragon, it's not like you can eat it, right? You
yeah,
can't pick it up and eat it. It's gonna come down, you know. Just information has never mattered in this game. That's why I don't like Scry. Or one of the reasons I don't like Scry, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this card just sucks. This is probably the worst card in the game. It's not. No, it's the second worst card of the game. The worst card of the game should go win, but it's the second worst card.
All right, well, moving on here.
Bazooka Goblins. 4 mana 3/3. Evo for 2. Fanfare. Select an enemy card on the field. I just noticed it's card. It's not even father. No, the Sentry Gate Killer. No, card on the field that originally cost 2 or less to destroy it, and then on evolve it does the same thing, and it gets +2/+2, so it becomes a 5/5. I actually kind of like this card. I've been thinking about it a little bit. It's like a hard target for fairies, right? Because it comes down, it kills almost every single fairy card in the deck outside of um, the EPM, the Spinaria, and then the Sentry, the Elven Sentry, which everyone's going to be playing.
Mhm.
Uh, um, and it's like a pretty nice board clear. I think this is another like dragon only card. Like I don't think most decks can play this for 6 or play this on 6 and it's fine. But it is a pretty efficient board clear against fairies most of the time unless they like super high roll. So I don't know. I wish this was like cost 1 less. Like I wish this was a 3 mana 2/3 uh did the same effect, Evo 2/4, and then that'd just
Yeah,
be better cap, I guess.
yeah. I agree with you. Like this card, text wise, it seems very very strong. It can deal with wide boards kind of by itself. I do agree. It's kind of like this is a one of those another neutral cards. It's like it says neutral, but it's really another dragon card because the
Yeah.
timing is just not good. It has really good. It runs well into certain things, like you said, especially into like the forest stuff going on. One thing though I talked about on this card too is like a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of cards that do come out for forest, a lot of their value is already taken up, or like the things you would be popping for the most part feel like they've already gotten value when they came out. And like if you're popping a fairy dragon with this, they get the 2 tokens still too. It's like it I feel like it's good but not really good enough, I guess is what it comes down to. Like I wouldn't fault anyone for playing this, especially in dragon. um but I don't know if it's just like this is the silver bullet for fairies, or is this the silver bullet into aggro? I don't know at that point. It definitely needs some testing. I think this card is worth testing, but I'm not sold like it's the be all end all of like certain matchups.
I can even maybe see this in like Haven as well, Control Haven, like
Yeah.
slow the game down, play this. I thinking about it even more, it's like it is just like on curve, it's pretty good too, and then like just on 4, going first, and then you
Mhm.
evo it the next turn, I don't know. It's really this means nothing. It is a goblinoid. So if you do the the goblin princess, play the king, means nothing. But I don't know. I'm gonna give it a D.
I'm cool with giving it a D also, just because I like cards that do like by the quote unquote by themselves deal with a wide board, and I can actually see this being played in like Dragon, and possibly if there's room or depending on what's going on, this could maybe be in Haven, like Pressure was saying. But I definitely anticipate this to be more. If it's getting played, it's probably in a Dragon deck.
Yeah, Yeah. Doesn't this read like a sideboard card? Like, man, if there was
Yeah, if
sideboards,
there
this
were
card would be
sideboards in this
so
game, I could see
cool.
this in the sideboard for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the last card here, Sentry Gate. 2-drop amulet. Whenever an enemy follower on the field attacks, its controller may pay 2 play points. If they do, destroy this card. Otherwise, deal 2 damage to attacking follower. And then Trait Mercenary. I like this card a lot when I first read it. I think it's a really cool, interesting card. It's kind of like I don't want to. What's that deck in Magic? It's like a pillow fort deck essentially. You're playing these out, so like decentivize your opponent from attacking. If they need to swing in, they're going to have to pay 2. Otherwise, they might lose their follower if they don't. When I was talking about this card with Pressure before we were recording, I was talking about how like I think the critical mass for this card to actually be good is have 2 of them out on the board, and then like most things will just die to that, or your opponent is going to have to pay 2 play points, which is going to kind of like almost time walk them in a sense, or just make their turn worse because they're going to have to pay 2 if they want to start swinging in. Other than that, it's a very interesting, like kind of control-y amulet card. I could see this going into some Haven deck or something like that. I'm not down on this card at all. I actually really like this card. I don't know if this is even going to see play in this meta at all. What about you?
Yeah, I think this is like the biggest question mark in this entire meta, honestly. Like, I think that if we crack the Sentry Gate code, it's a whole new world, you know. If we don't, which is the more likely thing, it doesn't matter, right? You know, I think that it's just we have to find the deck that's that uses it well, and then we also have to like construct the turns so that it's not like bad for them to just go, well, you wasted 2 play points, so I'll waste 2 play points, you know? And I just don't know what that's gonna be. I think Haven's a good contender because they obviously have a lot of amulet synergy. I think Dragon's a good contender because it just is allowed to play these sort of just like cards that sort of do nothing because their card quality is like so high
Yeah, and then
and they have
usually they're
ramp and
playing. Yeah,
everything.
they're playing a turn ahead usually also.
Yeah.
So
But it's also like, I mean, we could just figure out like this card's just good in every deck. You know, like I actually would not be shocked if like we just figured out, oh, well, this card's just good in every deck. This is just like a staple, you know, because it's just like it shuts down a lot of decks. It shuts down Fairy to an extent, and it shuts down any aggressive deck. Especially if you get like a couple of them, they have to. I think that's the key. Is like if you get 2, we're balling. If you only get 1, pretty easy to do. You know, it really reminds me of Morton from last set. Like Morton's
mhm.
such an interesting card, and I still feel like it could be played. But what is that deck, or what is it? You know, used for? And I just don't know.
What one thing too that I always forget to think about and like talk about too is that this does let some of your followers trade upwards. So maybe even in like the Haven ward deck, like once you've like presented a ward, like basically a decently
Yeah.
okay ward setup, playing this behind your wards makes it a little bit more awkward for your opponent to trade into, because they don't have to attack your leader just whenever their followers do attack, which means like your weaker attacked wards will now be able to kind of trade up or trade evenly with some of your, like, say your 3/3 is like a 2/4, right? They swing in with their 4/4. Now, at least it's going to trade as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think another thing that really makes me like this card is Wood of Brambles was like one of just the most powerful, impactful cards in digital back in its day. Obviously, it's like really bad in this game. It's not good. Um, but it basically acted like how this card works, and just the ability to just go, you're just gonna have to spend something. Is that mana or is that health? Or you know, follower health board presence, clearing my stuff, you know. So maybe even in like a aggro deck, this could be good because it makes your things harder to clear, you know, like in a normal way of, you know,
Yeah.
swinging into stuff. It's just such an interesting card. And if we had like 5 months of a meta, I think we could make something, but alas, There's basically only one big tournament, and that's it,
Yeah, pretty much. I do think this is like a type of card that could like at some point um kind of cause a new archetype or type of deck will just become really powerful with this card way maybe later down the line or something, because it's kind of nice that this doesn't cost a lot of play points also to invest in, because sometimes some of the best amets in the game like are like 5 or more play points sometimes, which is just
Yeah.
like you just delete your turn. This you can kind of like sneak in there occasionally, especially when you're slightly ahead. You sneak this in and now you kind of secure your lead with this card. That probably feels really good.
Yeah, it's also really strong. Like, so let's take Fairy Force for example. Like, it's strong when they don't have a board as well, because they go, say, you go first, you do whatever. They play their Fairy Circle, you play Sentry Gate. They have to. I mean, they're always playing the dragon. It's
Yeah,
not like,
they always draw it.
but
For sure.
they have to like have a board presence before they can deal with this card. So before they can even start thinking about, okay, this is the turn I'm just spending the 2 mana, they have to play a guy before then. So like if you are playing a deck that the unicorn priest that can just that can deal with fairy dragon on 2, they have to keep committing to the board before they have to get through the gate.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it might just be like our understanding of the game is just not there yet, where we just realize like, whoa, this is just the best card in the game. Like I really think that could happen. So I don't know. I think couple decks. I think definitely Wardhaven is a contender. Dragon is a contender. And then Control Haven is a contender for this deck as well, or for this card as well. I think even like, oh,
What?
I just disconnected, but I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Oh, okay.
But so yeah, I don't know. Cool card.
Mhm.
I don't know where are you gonna rate it?
I'm probably gonna rate this C. Maybe that is
Okay.
too high, but that's where I'm really happy with that level of card. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this card doesn't get played right now, right?
Yeah.
But I still think it's a relatively strong card, and if you're looking at the Amit strategy, control strategy, something like that, this is kind of like in the back of your mind. You should consider this. Like, be like, actually, does Sentry Gate improve any matchups? Does it improve my trades with my wards and stuff like that? So
Yeah. I'm leaning towards B, because I think that it's like playable in a really large amount of decks, like more than other sort of cards like this. I also love that it only costs 2, like it's not too
yeah,
expensive. And it's very much just like, hey, I'm spending 2 mana. If you want to spend 2 mana on your next turn, then we just went even. We sort of slowed the game down, and most of the time you like that, because you're playing this card, so you're trying to slow the game down. But if not, then you're gonna have to go through the gate. And I'm gonna be able to clear your stuff easily.
gotta pay the
Easier.
tax,
Yeah, gotta
otherwise,
pay
yeah.
the tax. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this a B. And we'll just have to see. This will be very interesting to see how this card develops for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if someone is really out there trying hard enough, they might be able to really like find the deck that this makes this card super good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that wraps up neutral. Here are some Twitter handles /X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. You can follow. We got the Burn One channel, Kit, and myself, and then Prescia, and then Shepard, who was not here today, sadly. Yep, make sure to give us a follow and all that. Besides that, if you made this far, like, comment, subscribe, please. Thank you.
Don't like, don't comment, and don't subscribe. Reverse psychology.
You're right. I don't need any of your likes, guys. Just dump them away.
Yeah. It's not like it's not like the entire YouTube algorithm is built on likes and subscribes and stuff. I do
definitely not 100%.
Do not need that.
Other than that, thank you, Prescia, for joining me on this. I've had a lot of fun. Hopefully,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, as always. Thanks for joining and all that. Other than that, guys, hopefully see you guys in the next video. Later, everyone.
Bye bye.